Yeah, that's how it is.
అక్కడి నుంచి తీయాలము. Sairam, sorry about everyone who is online and sorry about this. Now we should be able to hear. Please go ahead.
You are saying they have to repent for themselves. That is when they don't repeat that mistake again. When we are doing it for others, so that is the repeated offender, right?
Yeah, I know people have misconception of repenting and then for stages. Okay, I'll not repeat this mistake till 5 years or 10 years. I want freedom from this mistake, right? And after 10th year, I'll start it again. I mean, yeah, I've seen people like that. So suppose
Some
bad habits or like that, yes.
That's a nice way to bargain your life with the.
I think the prisons are like punishment and make them, but the system is so different. They don't think about repenting themselves. They keep on coming back to mother-in-law's house, they call, right? Mommy or sweet. Make mistakes again and again.
Okay, so today I was thinking we will talk about time because yes, the last chapter, chapter 26, was actually referring to how Parikshit committed to using his remainder of his 7 days. And he, though no details were given there, we'll go back, we'll be proceeding to the chapters which will talk about what he did in the 7 days. But let's talk about the right use of time. And Swami has always said it over and over again about the importance of the way you will use your time. And I just thought I will read this discourse and then we will go ahead and discuss a few questions. We are celebrating this day as New Year Day. The New Year is called Ishvara. Ishvara means one who is endowed with all forms of wealth. People greet the new year as if it's going to confer on them some new benefits. The good or evil, the gains or losses, the renown and or infamy experienced by people are not the outcome of the passage of years. They are the consequences of their own actions. Samvatsara, the year, is one of the names of God because God is associated with time. He is also known as Kalatmaka, time spirit. Hence, we should nor consider the Lord, who is the spirit of time, as likely to cause good or ill to us. Our actions, good or bad, bear fruits according to their nature. There is no need to wait for a new year to bring new tidings. Every moment is new. Many are wondering what troubles and losses the new year will bring to them. For all our troubles and difficulties, the year is not responsible. Our conduct alone is responsible. If our actions are good, the results will be good. Bad actions will lead to bad consequences. People think that good and bad are related to bad time. Not at all. Their thoughts are the cause. Hence, you should develop good thought and do good deeds. They should cherish good feelings and associate with good persons. People should realize the preciousness of time. Most of the time available is wasted by people. This is utterly wrong. Time should be always used for right purposes. That is the foremost duty of every man. Waste of time is waste of life. The Lord of time protects those who take refuge in him, even against the Lord of death, Kala. Time takes its revenge on those who misuse it. A nation's prosperity is dependent on how people make use of their time in the performance of good actions. All the things happen according to the dictates of time. Both good and bad depends on time time, prosperity and poverty likewise depend on time. Time is the determinant of all things. There is none who is not subject to time. In this entire world, that's the truth. Embodiments of divine Atma. Time is the embodiment of God. Hence, time is called Samvatsara. The sages have described God as Kala Rupaya, the embodiment of time. All things in the cosmos, moving and unmoving, are permeated by God. Hence, God is characterized as Kala Garbha, the one who holds the time in the womb. Sages have also described him as Dhirottama, supreme among the valiant. The term Dhira should not be understood as meaning one who is great intellectual or highly intelligent person. Dhira is the appellation given by the Veda to a man who turns his dhi, intelligence, towards God. The word kalam, time, is derived from ka plus alam. This means that God, embodiment of time, is the one who rewards people according to their deserts. God does not submit to worldly offerings, worldly authority, or worldly power. He responds only to spiritual aspirations. Sairam, this is just a short discourse that I thought kind of embodies the importance of time, not in terms of what Swami wants us to do. I think each one of us has heard it many times when Swami says, let's not waste time by eating, sleeping, and talking. Yeah. So many things that he has always gone back to the use of time. But this, I thought we will bring it back to what is time. So time is divine. God, Swami has said this time and again, actually, always, that time is God. Don't waste it. Every minute is important. And with that, I just thought we'll talk about this. And of course, we can always refer to all of the other discourses Swami has on using your time wisely. He has I think almost in every discourse, he's brought out, when the students are watching more TV or interested in playing games or whatever it is, he has always brought it down to how are you using your time. And I think that is something that is very important. So like Manojji had said, I think just last time, that at least Parikshit knew that he had 7 days. We are in a place where we don't even know how much time we have, and we are still not focused on what should be the right way to spend our time. So with that, I have a few questions here. Does not mean it is around that. Some of them may not even make sense, but anyway, let's talk about it. How can we recognize each moment as a new opportunity for spiritual growth rather than waiting for external milestones like the new year? In what ways can we take personal responsibility for our actions instead of attributing it to the outcome of time or fate, which seems to be a lot going on these days? So what are some meaningful ways that we can avoid wasting time? And if there is a practice, I think this is a great space to share that, so all of us can learn something. If God is the embodiment of time, how can we align our thoughts and actions knowing that? And how does understanding time as a divine force that rewards us based on our spiritual intent shift our perspective on challenges and blessings? So, and of course, the last one is, how can awareness of life's impermanence shape our spiritual journey? I think that pretty much encompasses every question, the underlying element of every question that I had out here. But so we can just discuss on how can we recognize each moment as a new opportunity. I have successfully asked a question that everyone's tongue tied. Everyone is taking time. Yeah.
Sign out. Hi, Ram. Oh, okay. Somewhere recently I read, our life is measured not by the hours or minutes or anything, but the moments that we have spent. The first word there is moment.
Yeah.
And so, we remember of the moments. So we want to be remembering only good moments. We remember all the bad, lot of other things. So if we focus on all the good moments, that will help us. So the more we are able to collect good moments, the better we are. So I think, we should be trying for spiritual growth, we should be looking for generating more of such good moments. And that is through service to people and gratitude and things like that.
Yeah, Sairam. So yeah, that saying is count your lives not by the breaths that you take, but the moments that take your breath away.
Sairam. Sometimes I feel that, say, when some major illness comes to us, say, I'm just connecting with what Manojji said, that Parikshit had that time. So these days we hear about so many people getting cancer and deadly cancer. And people who are getting cancer, invariably their lifetime is shorter from that time. And I'm reminded of Dayanandji as to how he took that. And I heard, I think, after, at some stage when he knew that there was no escape, I think he's a perfect example of how he chose his time. I think we would let Sujata ji share about how he handled that time. Because what happens is, people can go either way. When they hear that there is something that they're not going to live for long, they can completely go the opposite and lose faith and completely go the other way and then try to spend, oh, I'm going to live only for this many days. Let me go enjoy or whatever, do whatever. But how he transformed, I think is such an evolved soul that I think is a perfect example. If you could please share. I don't know if I'm putting in you on the spot. If you're comfortable, please.
Yeah, he knew he had 3 years. And then he always said, why not me? We always ask, why me, right? So he said, why not me? Yeah. And the other thing was, he used to spend his time mainly, thinking of Swami all the time. And then he tried to distance himself, from other stuff. And also morning, whatever it is, morning, he did his things as is, and then he didn't make anything different even for the kids.
Yeah.
So he kept it natural, like how it was going, same thing. There's nothing has to be different. That's what he said. And so every morning, he used to do his daily routine, whatever it is, nothing changed. That's one thing. And the other thing is he had full faith in God. He said, it is some reason I have to go through this. So there is no point in, when it is only whatever the time is, he always hoped though it would be better.
Yes.
Always. But, he said, okay, whatever it is God has given. And also he said, there's no point in discussing this when I know when they say it's only 3 years, and he didn't want to waste his time. People coming, he didn't want that thing, people coming and telling, spending more time and wasting that time. He just wanted it to be himself.
Yes.
He didn't tell any of his family members or anybody.
Yes.
So that's how he kept it, going. And also he made all of us stay strong, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sairam.
So things
I
like
agree.
those. So, but always he didn't lose that faith in God anytime, at any point.
Thank you for sharing. It's very difficult for you to talk about that. I vividly remember Dayanand. He told all of us only in the last couple of months, right? Couple of months. Some people got upset why he didn't tell us anything, but it's not for us to know. When we know, we know. But he was upbeat all the time. And he was reading the book With Love, We Are God. Right? Yeah. And he was so obsessed with the other book also, Pathways of God. And the only time I felt it was out of his character, the way when we went to Disney, he asked, can he stay in the downstairs bedroom, master bedroom? 7 families went together. He never ever put himself first or for anything. That's the only time we didn't know why. And he was the president of the center at that time. We thought we were just making fun of him, yeah, you are the center president, but not here. You don't have to. And Sujata even called him Obama at one point. But the point is, yes, he was very courageous. We were there, and when he took his last breath, singing songs, bhajans to him, he couldn't sense that, we were, myself and Swami, I talked about many times, his favorite bhajans. He would ask us to sing for bhajans, and we sang. He was not conscious, but he was conscious. The tear came just in the corner of his eye. It came. The doctor came, she said, so peaceful, so much love I feel in the air. That's what he was. He was full of love, very advanced soul. He took it in stride, and Sujata and the whole family was very strong, very admirable. But I just want to share the other side of the spectrum. There is, again, my relatives, okay? Don't judge me. One of my cousin's mother-in-law, she knew she was going to die. But, all she wanted was, every day she has to sleep on one of her silk saris spread on the bed. Her pattu sari, I'm going to go. Who is going to wear them? So let me lie down on them. That is her bed sheet. And all the things she can enjoy in life, she wanted to enjoy in the last few months of her life, See how people are. I think where they are in the spiritual spectrum, that is how they handle it. Nothing else, right? Very important. Swami says, you have a nice car, you have a nice road. Just because you have a car and you can drive, if you drive carelessly, you can die any minute. You can hit a pothole or a icy patch, or there is some other car can come. So the life is precious. So what do? You have to drive the car very carefully, paying attention to every little thing. He is referring to, of course, our body and our, spirit, right? So we don't know when we are going to die. That is true. But how do we spend the time, being aware of that fact? We don't remember it all the time. We think we are going to live forever.
So I want to think. So one thing is, Steve Jobs, in his talk, he always said, this was before his cancer, even before that, is how are you so successful? And, some question was asked, and he said, every morning when I get up, I go and stand in front of the mirror and ask, this is going to be my last day. So what do I do? That will be helpful to, so what should be the thing that I should do today, which will be most important, work of the day. So that was his thing. So when I read about Parikshit, so actually I'm thinking he was lucky that he got 7 days. I mean, it was not like a sudden shock, so you have, 1 week of planning time to do, whatever you want to say, and leave it with suddenly you get, and there are people who suddenly get a heart attack and die, and many things they have to be taken care of, have not been taken care of. So I thought 7 days is a good time to get it.
Yeah, Saira. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to mention 2 things about Dayanand Garu. I'm not as strong as Sujata. I become emotional, I cry too. But something is telling me to share this. So I'm going to share this about Dayanand Garu. I came into Sai for just because of him and the family. So I plan to emulate Dayanand Garu when I'm ever in crisis. One reason, when you don't share, you really don't waste your time. And I'll tell you why. So since he didn't tell us, we only knew 2 months before. He used to, so in the study circle, in those days, I did not know how to manage my stress. Or at least I would say I was worse at the time. I would always drag myself and I'd argue with Dayanand Garu at the time, study circle. He'd always smile like Swami. I still, whenever I see him, that's how I see it. Always smiling and like smile at me and tell me, you will see things are going to calm down for you. Always smiling. Yeah. Any question that I'll ask, I know he's going to go away for everything. So that's why I know that you should not waste time discussing your problems, because unless somebody can solve it, why share? I mean, if someone can solve the problem, then you should share. Otherwise, just don't waste your time. Other thing I still remember, back in those days, we used to have our fourth Saturday sessions in Yorktown. And I used to get tired a lot in those days because Madhuri was little. So I would always avoid going to Yorktown. But he would always offer the ride. So I did not see him in the hospital because, as I said, I tried to stay positive all the time. And I wasn't sure at the time that I can handle. So my last vision, I still can see him waving in this lawn. He said, I'm going to take Madhuri to Yorktown. Please send her for the fourth Saturday. So if anybody wants to see how he lived, that's how he lived until the last day. He just kept everything normal. And that helped a lot of people like us. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, Saira.
Saira, it's going about Dayanand ji.
It's okay. Yeah.
But I think that's very relevant because the time, the value of time, he valued it so much. And he's ever ready. He's known for the service. And anybody needs any help, he's right there, willing to help. And I know, I think Nishka or somebody, right? They had just come from this one. They had a big suitcase. He just helped take the whole thing in spite of being in so much trouble. So much physical pain, not revealing. So it's amazing. And so, tying back to this time aspect, every minute, as Subhadraji mentioned, every minute is critical. I think the way we should imbibe is imagine that we also have this one, that we may, because that's true. We don't know what is in future, how long we are going to live, and use that time in that. Put ourselves in artificial, say, okay, this is the time, just like Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good approach, I think.
So I think that realization, yes, please go ahead.
Diana has been in the subject. So I want to share something which is more funny, a lighter side. So we are in 2010 in Puttaparthi. And so he was already, actually, we didn't know about it, but he was already going through this process. So, we were in the, Western canteen doing service during the afternoon. And so, they were talking about needing some volunteers to come early in the morning because the milkman and all, they bring big things and the only ladies are there. We need somebody to help with, the heavy loads and things like that. So they were talking, so I didn't know anything about his condition. So I just asked him, and so should we come? And he said, "I'm the good day, okay, let's not do that. Let the younger people take care." So, I took it for that and came home. Next day, we meet again, in the darshan room, and then he says, "Oh, I was there in the morning, did that. You said we don't have to go. I would have come also. Why did you go by yourself?" He said, good thing I went there because they were really struggling. They were very, very heavy vessels to be taken. So it was a good thing that I went there. So how did you, why did you say that? And then I would have also come, and why did you do this? And he said, it's a very funny story. Something, Rishi, not Rishi, Naveen, I think he wanted to contact somebody in the US or something. So he had put a timing to that, and then the alarm went off or something. And Diane just got up and thought that, he just like, he has changed the timing on the clock to indicate some other time. So he looked at that and, it's already, 5 o'clock or something, and we had to get up. And so he just got up, brushed his teeth, and he was wondering, why the birds usually when I wake up at this time, I can hear the chirping of the birds. I don't hear them. Maybe they're all silent today for some reason. So he just brushed his teeth and walked out. And then he suddenly realized, maybe it is not yet time. Then he remembered this incident and he said, okay, it is exactly that time they wanted volunteering to be done. So he just went and did the volunteer.
Yeah.
So, it was a very, touching story to me at that, after I
Yeah.
heard about his condition, but,
Did-
but he did that. That's
Absolutely.
how even Swami made him do service even if he didn't want to do.
Correct.
That's all.
Yes, I was going to say that. Venkatesh, you wanted to say something, right? There is.
Yeah, so subject Dayanand.
That's really good. Now on Ram Navami, we can talk about Dayanandji. That is a nice one. Yes, please go.
He was a saint. He never had any shikan, जिसे कहते हैं ना, जैसे stress or something. He never had any kind of stress. Every time he was smiling. Every time. Any single day, I have not seen him stressed out. I remember those days. Dayanand talked about 2010 journey. So we were also there for last 3 days. And we never knew that how to register because we are there for only 3 days. So as soon as we arrived in the evening, so he just helped us to register. He took us all the paperwork and everything, and we got registered, and we got also opportunity to be in the line to see Swami. And the next day we had a darshan of Swami in the very morning. And Dayanand said, "Oh, you are lucky because Swami didn't came in the morning at all. He always used to come in the evening." So I think he was part of the journey for everybody here. Thank you, Saina.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, please go ahead. Can you please talk in the mic so that it's not on?
So this was after my dad died. It was not that I wanted to go to Puttaparthi anytime because we lived in North and I had not gone for 10 years and Puttaparthi was in South. So I always thought that whenever I go to India, so it will be difficult to go to Puttaparthi. But when my dad died, first time it came from my heart that I want to thank you because I saw my dad on monitor after 10 years. Next day he died. Yeah, he was in Bhutan. So my brother arranged so that he was airlifted there. So my brother said, okay, we will talk tomorrow. So I got up, got ready, and our monitor, we didn't have too much money at that time. So our monitor was too old. It would take forever to switch on. That day it switched on in 5 minutes. And I saw my dad after 10 years. All he said was, you gained weight. He kept on saying, okay. He just said that, and next he was just waiting for me. I was his favorite child.
Yeah.
So he was just waiting for me. My brothers were saying, he is waiting for her.
Yeah.
So he saw me next day. He was hospitalized. 2 days he died. So for first time it came within my heart, Baba, I want to thank you.
Yeah.
And then within a week, I got that email of pilgrimage and all. We quickly registered for 10 days. Then later I thought, no, we are going only for like 25 days, 10 days, we can't go there. So we deregistered.
Right.
So we came, but I really wanted to go. So we went for 2 days.
Yeah.
We went anyhow there. As soon as we enter Puttaparthi, Dayanandji is there.
Right.
He said, no, come, we'll get you registered. He got us registered. I got the 3 saris. We got, we got the room.
Which was the important part. Yeah.
It was very important. And then we were in the group in the first row. And then Sujata said, Nilma, Baba is not going to come today. Yesterday he stayed late night.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, I'm here for 2 days. Then when I sat in Kulwant Hall, then I said, Baba, this is the first and the last time I'm coming. Please give me your darshan. Then Akansha says, Mom, Baba is coming. And he came on the wheelchair. And that was only the time we saw him.
Yeah.
Next day, Akansha was unwell and we didn't go. He was not there. We saw him, we got his blessing, all thanks to Dayanandji. Otherwise, maybe we would not have been registered, staying somewhere out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that will stay, memory will stay with me forever.
Yeah. So all of the good deeds, yes, but also we have to learn from that, right? Now we are talking as a story, which is an experience, which is great. But what did you take out of this, right? Because I think out of a lot of people, I can share today that I had one-on-one time with Dayanandji, and I don't think even Sujata knows that I spent that much time alone with Dayanandji in the room, because when I went, it was late night, and he was in pain, and he said, "Can we talk?" And that's how I ended up spending time. The second time when the same thing happened, I said, "Okay, it's okay, Dayanandji, you rest, and I'll come back." again. So now when I look back, I always think that a lot of these activities that I keep doing here, or the process, I somehow feel that was the energy that was passed on. And it's a personal journey for everyone. I don't think it's for everyone, but that's how you can relate to from time to time. I've had umpteen number of opportunities to actually help Sujata. And I think that is the piece that we can give back. That is what he portrayed to the world. All we can do is reflect back. In the same way, Swami does a lot of things. How every moment he expects us to remember that. Do you remember it every moment? Simple question, right? I don't remember it. Most of the time, I'm getting annoyed with something that didn't happen and wasting time. So, yeah, please. Go ahead, Venkatesh. Yeah.
Definitely, most of the people talk about the amnesty, but I'm not aware, but I'm very happy to hear about that great soul. I just want to say that, like, one thing is, if you know the intent of the life, then you will be knowing the value of the time. Like, then if you have the proper things, okay, what you want, and then if you put that plan, and then you'll be using the time properly. So that's how, like, everyone should have an intent, and then what he wants to.
Very well
then-
said.
Yeah,
Yep.
that is
Absolutely.
one thing. But some things like, even we discussed about Steve Jobs or something like this. I'll say some other things also, like, okay. So
sorry. I think I accidentally.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and one of the questions is talks about we all will be remembering about spiritual journey when we understand the impermanence of the life. But it is not that only, like, because Steve Jobs came to know about his cancer at a late stage itself. It's not that
Yes.
big. But everyone has an intent. Like, he wants to bring a device into everyone's hand, like just like the way Bill Gates has a dream that, like, he wants to see a Mac or a PC in everyone's home, which is true. His wish come true for his that is what it could be. Like, he's working towards a time to reach towards that goals. So I feel like it's not just a spiritual journey might really make you happy kind of thing. Like, if you have an intent, and if you are achieving that intent for some using the time properly, your soul might be very happy. Because you have created, you embraced, and you change the people's way of living.
Yeah.
So that is where, like, I feel like everyone should have an intent. Then that makes a different thing.
Yeah. Intent goal. Yes.
Yeah, intent goal.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Yes.
And little deviating from this thing, like, okay. So we talked about Parikshit knowing that, like, he has 7 days, and I'm a little confused, or like, my thoughts are needs to be cleared a little bit here. Is like, Parikshit is the grandson of Arjuna. Okay, and Parikshit is being cursed, saying that, like, he will be bitten by a snake, Takshaka, and he will be dead. Okay, Takshaka ran into the Kurukshetra from the Kandava forest during the Kurukshetra. And Kurukshetra happened, and Takshaka and Parikshit is, like, from next generations. So does it mean that the snake has a lifespan of that much
that much.
To really think through that?
Snakes, if nothing kills them, can live up to 400 years.
Yeah, they all had long lives,
But I read, like, the biggest cobra or something like it's 35.
No, at
So
that time, many people lived, even
Probably the
Arjuna,
yugas.
everybody lived. Yeah.
the timeline, again, the timeline is
Yeah,
different again.
yeah.
How you calculate the timeline.
Yeah.
So that questions a lot of things, like, okay, Parikshit is what is the difference between
Timeline, yeah.
Arjuna's and Parikshit? Like, okay, is it generation? Because it's generation. It is Arjuna, then your Abhimanyu's son is like Parikshit.
Right.
So it's 3 generations are there. So it's really confuses me. Like, okay, the snake has so much life, and after the whole what is that, like, Dwaraka got dissolved and everything, because that's where, like, he was
that opens another aspect of it. You know why snakes live long? Because they use their prana, very conservatively.
Yes.
They are made to do that. That's hibernation, and we have read all that. So conservation of prana, utilization of prana is the key. That's how sadhus and siddha purusha yogis do that. They can live so long also. The purpose is not to live long, actually. Purpose is,
To realize.
realization, but utilization of
Breath.
prana, breath is so important. That's one aspect of it. And secondly is the sanskaras, as Umaji mentioned, that lady sleeping with silk sari, So what is in the back of your mind? What is the intent, as someone opened up the topic, intent? That is the sanskara. The intent will also come by sanskara. That intent, so we have to promote those intents which are in that direction. We have to demote, whatever that thing, of those sanskaras which are taking in the other direction. That should be the journey. Positive, 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 encourage, negative, 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 discourage, discourage. I really appreciate, I would definitely want to mention it again as Bhavaniji's effort every time presenting, writing messages, then rewriting, then re-listening to the videos, then re-listening to the audios for the whole week. And then this is the live example of the effort on utilization of time. So if one's mind is so much occupied by these thoughts, there is no place for wrong thoughts to come in. I highly appreciate this. So keeping you involved, keeping one involved in these activities repeatedly by this reason, by that reason, by some excuse, some reason, that would be the utilization of time. This is the live example of utilization of time. As much as you get involved, those negative thoughts will not, there's no space for those negative thoughts to come in. So I just wanted to use that as an example.
Thank you.
So repeatedly using this time, this is the time. As I have not met Dayanandji, but the way we are talking about him, I remember Rajpur's those words. एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल, जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल. I mean, I am getting emotional about listening to all this. So what is left? This is called Jivan Mukti. Everyone will die one day.
Yeah.
Person who has been mukt during the lifetime will be only getting the Vigraha Mukti. The concept of Vigraha Mukti is people will get Mukti after death. No. Big no.
You have to
People
start
who
living the life.
Yes, you have to be Jivan Mukt while alive, then you will be only having Vigraha Mukti. So that.
Yes.
Just wanted to add to the.
Yeah. So in that case.
No, I wonder, just a practice or something to think about for us. Suppose we know we have limited time. Doesn't have to be a disease, but just, hypothetically, what will we do differently? What are all important things to us at that point? If you think that way, then you will realize how much time we are wasting,
right,
doing things that at all, not at all helpful for us, So that's one way of putting things in perspective.
So just talking about the practical side of this, because we are talking time, and this is Navaratri, the first day of Navaratri. In fact, 2 days before then, I had made up my mind to not watch TV, which is a very big thing. Even if it is on, I wanted to try to not, even if it's on, it's okay. It's not to stop someone else. It's not to engage your brain into that. It's the same thing when you are on your device and social media is important. I don't think it's something that is bad. But waste of time happens when you start watching reels over reels over reels, which makes no sense. So again, stopping yourself there. So I have been practicing this. This is my successful 8th day. And honestly, I'm still at a time frame where I'm thinking, oh, after tomorrow, I don't have to force myself. See, my brain is not still ready to accept that aspect of it. I am thinking, oh, tomorrow 9 days is done. So I can, I can go back to that, because then I'm not stressed about, oh, is the TV on or not, or what is going on, how do I engage, So that it is not, I don't know, but I'm just saying that kind of thing happens. You have to get past that, right? I'm not past that. No, Ama.
Saira. See, that is excellent. I think as Venkatesh said, the intent or goal. I think it's best to imagine that your lifetime, let's say you imagine that you're having some, this one, you put yourself an artificial deadline that I'm going to pass this time, whatever it is. I'm not going to live beyond that. And then set your goal. Okay. It's because the mind will want distraction, will want to see something or look at others. They are doing this, they are watching this. Or so put yourself a goal. Oh, I want to finish this spiritual thing, either reading Gita Vahini or whatever Vahini, anything. I want to read this by this time. I want to do this, or set yourself some goals. And that way, and then give priority to that. See, that is the thing. The mind will give you least priority for that. Oh, I have that thing to do. I have this thing to do. And then in that process, you'll get distracted. So give importance to that and then give priority to it. I think if we do that, then that will help in enforcing that artificial deadline of not watching TV. Because not watching TV, if you force just that, and then if you don't have anything constructive to do, your mind will always convince you, oh, you don't have anything to do, watch TV.
In fact, that was exactly what I wanted to say last week also. Somehow I could not express it that well. We have to prioritize. Whenever there are two options, prioritize. This, as we were talking to Venkatji just a few minutes ago, this versus that, this, Baba, this spiritual good, God, this versus that, prioritize. I was sending a message to one of my good friends, even if it was WhatsApp messages, but she told me, it's waste of time. I realized, in fact, we were told in my class from India, they said, you guys are spending so much time on WhatsApp. Which WhatsApp message is so important or more important than chanting his name? Give me one example of one WhatsApp message, which is more example than chanting his name. So we know that it's just an addiction. It's an addiction. Just keep looking at WhatsApp message, keep looking at Facebook messages. We just have to come out of it and start practicing. So,
okay, so I just want to, go to the slightly lighter side again, with something Venkat said about, he was asking about Parikshit and Taksha. And of course, Vyasa was talking to Parikshit. And Vyasa wrote Mahabharata, which is
Yes.
the thing. So, the timings there, I do not really have.
Yeah. Yeah. Vyasa, yeah. The timeline is a little confusing. Yes. Please go ahead, Venkatesh. I know you wanted to add something, I think.
I just want to add, as Manoj said, if you have the intent, see, in summer, when it comes, okay, I spend most of my time in the backyard. Sometimes I miss even this coming to bhajan also,
Yes.
on Saturdays. It is just you have the intent, I'll just go there and spend time with the backyard. Even I feel even that the moments I spend in my backyard, I feel like I'm very close to the nature, which is exactly, if you understand understand the knowledge of Purush, Prakriti, and your jivas, there is exactly the gunas and the tattvas and what is your self and the self, the supreme self. The statement which has been mentioned, if the body is the embodiment of the time, how can we align our thoughts and actions to honor the divine nature of the every moment? I feel more than it is a time is been embodied, is been correlated to the God. I read it like this: I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, or something like this. Because that's where the Atma is all about, talking beyond these limits. When you do that kind of thing, that is nothing but your inner self itself is saying that you go beyond this, and then you will be able to appreciate or really think what exactly is the value of this thing. That is one thing. And the next slide, I have one thing, but I'll wait if someone has to discuss about this thing.
What else? Next slide I have.
There's one more slide, or the previous slide. Okay.
This one?
Yeah. Here. It is just, I don't know whether it might talk about the political thing also.
No, don't get to
political.
political.
Political, not a political.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Because we
Go ahead.
call saying that like Baba has mentioned that like both good and bad depends on the time, prosperity and poverty likewise depends on
Right.
the time. We call ourselves like India as a poverty country.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, okay, we are ages and ages. Probably
Yeah.
like it could be the time might become like, okay, where it could be the developed
Lead.
or like how it can be considered as the thing. But for that, like, do we really say that like, okay, time comes and we'll stop doing something what is to be done? So how does the time will define? Okay. Is it something? See, I feel like everyone has to do their karmas or actions that needs to be done. And then the time is just a reference, or like it will tell you whether it's a good karma or bad karma, or like what is the outcome of that.
Oh, you're saying about the thing about that says both good and bad happen depend on time. Is that what you're saying? That he's saying not to think about it that way.
No, the prosperity and the poverty likewise depend on time. What does that mean?
So that again depends on. So he has actually said all things happen according to the dictates of time, which is what we talked about our karma. Right? That is the dictating factor out there, right? That's what I understand.
Sairam, the way I understand,
Karma. Yeah. Because that's how time is. Yeah, please.
normally we say, oh, Rahu Kalam.
Yeah.
Okay?
Kalam is
That
not good.
That is the thing. Or this is an inauspicious time. Yeah. This is an auspicious time. Or this period in
Don't
this
start
year,
something
this year,
like this.
these 2 months are not auspicious. These months are auspicious. So at some context, Swami has given importance to that, to Rahu Kalam and all that. But I think what he means here is it's more on the individual than on the time. Don't put the blame on the time.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's
yes,
what.
That's exactly what I'm saying too. Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead, Shankaranji. Yeah.
The other thing I'm taking time here refers to, when something has to happen, it will happen only at the right time. And examples are, when I graduated from college, undergraduate, I wanted to come here right away. I had the admission, but I just didn't have the resources to come here. So I thought I gave up. I'll give up on that. And then, suddenly the opportunity popped up. And then, then 10 years later, it happened. So, that thing that remained almost like a regret, for a long time. But then you kind of get used to that. But then, that intent was there, embedded there, and at the right time, it will happen. So I think the time here, it could mean, good or bad are going to occur at those times, which is, you have no control.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, please go ahead.
So I want to quickly add one thing. So we have to follow time. Follow time means not following the clock. We have to be in the moment. Swami always says, when you're doing something, I'll come about the intent. When you're doing something, you fully focus on that thing because you've allocated specific timeline for that. When you're doing a study circle, you're wasting time. You're physically present in the study circle, but when I'm thinking about some friend who is getting married in India while talking here, that's pure waste of time, even if I present here. Correct. So the meaning I said that we have to follow time is when you're in present, be present. The future is not in your hands. Past is already gone. When you try to pull back your past, it doesn't happen. Or when you try to pull the future, it won't come.
Live in the moment.
Live in the moment and give time. It will happen. So everyone knows Virat Kohli, right? He's a big cricketer. If suppose tomorrow go and hold a bat, no one calls me Kohli. I can't be Kohli because Kohli took his time to be Kohli. He is Virat Kohli since he started cricket. Every day he is doing that. Yeah. His intent is that, so he did not procrastinate his intent. If I procrastinate my things, I have to, one example, I have to tell, I used to be very not careless, without knowing, without intentionally, I have to be off time while I was working in college or something like that. Then when I started the job, when I'm regularly going in time, first 3 days, 4 days also, I used to go 10 or 15 minutes late, delayed. Then from the 5th day, I started going in time. Then my colleagues started appreciating me. But then I did not feel happy because it's not something that appreciation is not the base here, because that is how natural. If 8 o'clock I have to be in the office, I have to be at 8 o'clock. So that is the thing, and one more thing is, yes, so we have to be in time spiritually, not physically, also spiritually. We have not to procrastinate things, and to get the intent successful.
Yeah. So every day you have to work towards it.
Yeah,
Yes.
work
Every
towards it.
moment, in
Yeah.
fact. Yes, that is correct. Yeah. The other thing is, if God is the embodiment of time, how can we align our thoughts and actions? That is something that I think most of us don't really, think of God at all times. I don't know if all of us are, yes, we are spiritually focused, but thinking of God at every moment is like Tyagaraja or someone like that. It is not for it is not possible every moment until you reach that kind, you do those kind of practices, I feel. So yeah.
Sairam, I think it's a question of what we define as God.
Saira.
If you define God as Swami or Rama, then it is, I agree with you. We cannot be thinking of Rama when we are busy working on something. But if you consider God as that work that we are doing, as Sai Prashant said, if you are completely focused on being on that moment, or as Venkat said, being in the nature, if you see God in that plant that is blooming or that flower that is blooming, then you are thinking about God. So God doesn't mean Swami or doesn't mean Rama there. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think if you consider yourself, you're no more different as God. That completely removes all your.
I will
confusions.
just question that, because when there is a beautiful flower in your garden, you will say, oh wow, my garden, my flower is very pretty.
No, I don't say.
No, you will. When I say you, I don't mean you specifically, but
No,
I'm saying
that's what I'm saying.
that is the ego that comes in each one of us.
That is the maturity. That is the
Yeah.
maturity of your thoughts.
Correct.
Where you
I
say
agree.
that okay, it is mine.
Yeah.
When you have that maturity, you never say that anything it is, because all this is like the boundaries are like a virtual boundaries. We have it because of the constitution, what we are doing it.
Correct.
But if you remove all these boundaries, that is where you have the actual freedom of the things. So this is binding us.
Beyond.
This is binding us. You have to go beyond the boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I want to add, I've said this before, we have to find joy in the actions, then it's going to stay with us longer. There are multiple ways of doing anything right spiritually also. We need to find out what gives us joy, then it's going to stay with us longer. For example, just as Bhavani said, she's trying to not watch TV for some time. If she finds a task which is joyous, maybe going to the garden and nurturing the flowers, then maybe she will stay away from TV more without counting the days. And that's an example which I have practiced, and I keep practicing it. That's what I want to share. So find joy. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to add that, positive thinking is actually equivalent to thinking about God. So as a researcher, we sometimes get into an experiment and keep trying and trying and trying. Each time you try, you think, okay, maybe this is where it went wrong. I should try this one. So it is always a new thing we try, which fails in the next round. But I think that the moment you say, okay, maybe I should do this, gives you that positive thought, which gives you the energy, which gives you the reason to continue. So I think positive thinking, I would consider it equivalent to, think about.
See, another thing is like when we say God, usually we think of like maybe a name and form. That doesn't have to be there. See, that will take me back to the Brahman part of the universe, right? So whatever you see, whatever you do, you see the consciousness, the isness, it exists. It is God. What exists? Nothing but God. So in that way, we change our mindset, not to see things as this, that. We can maybe try to tell ourselves there is God in this, in that, in our thought, word, actions, and people. So that is one way of constantly thinking of God, that consciousness in everything. nothing but consciousness. One thing. And the lighter side of it, there is this about time, being on time, that Alexander Dumas, one short story, this says that this man came to know he was going to die that day. He gets very scared. So he thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. I don't want to be here. So he started running to the next village as much as he can from his place. He just started running. He couldn't run anymore. He became so tired. Around midnight, he just collapsed in the roadside inn somewhere, just a shelter. He just collapsed, and the voice he heard said, I'm so glad you kept on time. I was waiting for you here. That's the voice of death. So when we talk about time, our time, his time, Swami always says, I'll give you in 1 year, wait for 1 year or 1 month. And nothing happens in 1 month. So the time he mentions is very different. The time we think with our mind, limited understanding the time, something is happening, something is going on, that is different. We have to understand that part of it.
Sairam, we do have the senses, right? So, and we have to use the senses for spiritual progress. We cannot escape from it. In other words, we cannot shut off our senses and say we will progress, but we have to use them. So when it comes to using the senses, let's say seeing, we can see something that leads us to more materialistic or more spiritual. So I'm just bringing the example of watching TV. Cutting off TV is one good thing, because why do we do that? Because TV contains mostly distractions, mostly that takes us away from spirituality. But the same TV can probably contain something that will uplift our spirituality. So the distinction comes between, it's not in the, we cannot blame the TV. It is in us as to how we use it. So any gadget, cell phone is wonderful. If we use it for our spiritual progress, cell phone is not bad. So it depends on how we want to use it. And that requires discrimination, viveka, all those things that we talk.
I feel that is nothing but the channel. More than the TV, like it is the channel or the path, what we choose, it is more important than the TV or something like this. Yeah. Yeah, it's channel.
Yeah,
like,
that is correct.
That is exactly
Yeah,
the channel what you want to do that.
Yes, you have to channel yourself.
Yeah, channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm also thinking, coming back to what Sai Prashant said, very important is, even if you are watching TV, don't feel guilt about it. I think the guilt is probably the one that takes you a lot of energy. And even if you do plan on something, you're not doing it, don't regret anything. So that's this moment onwards. See, even the next moment you might have again missed it. Don't worry about it. So I think that's
It's the
important
same thing
is,
when we talk about food, right? Many of us see it, you're like, oh, my God, I'm not going to eat this many calories. You've lost that moment of joy in eating. When you start counting on the calories that go in, that moment is past. So again, yes, I totally understand. But the thing that I miss mostly about TV is taking my sleep in front of the TV is the best sleep ever. And that is what I'm missing. But anyway. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't, because he makes me think. That's why I can't think. No, yeah.
Says that. He himself says.
That could be an Ishwara Ichha. Like, who knows? Like,
he himself says.
That is a Ishwara
People say
Ichha.
that. Just listen, Millet, like a lullaby.
Yeah. So, how does we can actually move on and go into the next chapter if we are done with this. So I just want to end with, how can the awareness of life's impermanence shape our spiritual journey? That's something that we've already talked about. How does understanding time as a divine force reward us based on spiritual intent? How does it shift your perspective from challenges? And taking Parikshit's example, we did talk about a couple of things there. How do we align our thoughts and actions to honor the divine nature of every moment? That is something I think that's what we are focused on when we are saying, how you use your how you channel your TV is what it is. And then in some meaningful ways, we can avoid wasting time. Instead, use it for purposeful spiritual living. That I think we have, Shankaranji brought out service as one of them. We have talked multiple times and multiple ways, giving Dayananji's example. And in what ways we can personally take responsibility for our actions, rather than attributing it to times and current time or fate. Is that something that you think we have addressed?
The one which you mentioned last.
The second question.
Yeah, the second question.
Yes.
Something is running on my mind, because in the Kurukshetra, when Arjuna was saying that thing, and what Krishna said is karmane vadikaraste mavale sukadhana.
Yeah.
So he said, you do your actions, you don't even think about anything, what is the outcome. Even if you consider that the time is the fate or something like this, I don't believe it is something, okay, unless, and the last question is the impermanence. When you understand the impermanence of yourself, then you'll have to shape your journey towards the spiritual. That might be, okay, why do we need to think about the spiritual itself? You can think about something, what is your intent also? Okay, my intent is before I die, at least I just, whoever is dependent on me, okay, at least they should not, I should give them something, okay, they can run their life. That would be my way of spiritual thinking, saying that
Ahankara and Mamakara is what that comes down
that is
to.
an attachment. It is not an attachment, but at least as a dharma, as a swadharma
As a
or something
duty?
like this. Yeah, as a duty.
Your duty is to educate and make them make them independent, basically.
See, independence again. Again, the independence, the equation comes what factors are assigned towards each and every attribute of the equation makes a lot of difference. So we need to understand the attributes that are defining an equation.
So yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Parenting.
Yeah,
maybe we can have that also.
Yeah,
I can discuss on that also.
Yeah, no, but so I don't know. Personal responsibility for our actions here is not about doing the dharma. You as a father, yes, you do have your dharma. You as a son, you have your dharma. But I think it's more than just that. When we don't, are you doing the right thing at all times? Is the question there? I think. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So here we are back to the Dayanand. Dayanand did both. He actually was thinking about what we are, or what our true self is, and at the same time he made sure that he knew his life is coming to an, I don't know if he knew it, but he was still thinking it will get better, but he was planning for that too. So what I heard was he has paid up almost all the bills ahead of time for a year, so that the family will not have to think about little things at that time. So he was doing both, and all the time he was thinking only just telling us we are all God. I mean, the last few days, that's the only thing he said, right? Anything and everything will say, why think like that? We are God. that's how.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I feel is okay, as Shankaran said, everyone thinks what they have to, even if it is the last moments, assume that we have that, okay, whatever is being paid to take care of the family. But the other thing, the last thing which we smaran our God, God in the last moment, because that is the only destination, or the one which we think that okay, oh, we have to think about this, or we have to, that will at least lead us into the next janma, if at all, if it is there, into the proper way or something like this. We never know. So that into our next janma, it leads into that, okay, if at least putting an application at the last minute will put you into the right things or not. That could be the reason that everyone thinks at the last stages of the life itself, rather than thinking every day, every minute, every moment, if you consider God as a separate entity altogether and remember that as an entity, and then you recollect that thing, rather than you yourself have that self-respect and your that's
Confidence that you are the God.
that's a purush, like yourself, it's your esteemed self, what you understand,
Right.
then you will always look for a idol or something like this, and oh, I have to pray for this. No, I have to pray for this. That you have to come out of this. Then you will be thinking that, like, okay, you're doing it, what you're doing it. So every moment you have to think about yourself.
Saram, I want to add one thing. I know I often see that in the study circle, we sometimes say, why not everybody does what we do here? We have to accept that we are here because God has chosen us. So if anything we have to do, we have to keep thanking that we are able to do all these opportunities that come to us. Some people get more than others. So things will just come in place. When we become anxious often, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? We just have to keep reminding ourselves, whatever we are supposed to do is going to come to us, and just keep doing it, which is right, so that we're not anxious anymore. Sairam.
Sairam.
Sairam. Two things. Regarding that second bullet, the way I connect, I mean, it's in lighter vein. In always we say that it's my bad time I did this.
Yes.
Okay, porada vela. So in
Yes.
Tamil we say it's porada vela. It said this, or I did this. So I think that one is to say, don't put the blame on the time.
Fate. Yes.
It's take responsibility for your action.
Right. Exactly.
But coming to our Subhadra ji's point,
Yeah.
there are two ways to look at it. This is what I understand. There is a Markata Kishora Nyaya and Marjala Kishora Nyaya. Okay, there are two ways. Yeah, cat, the kitten, the if you look at
you
the
mean
kitten,
trust
the kittens will completely trust its mother cat, and mother cat will hold that kitten and take it. That is Subhadraji's point. You are in this position because the divinity destined you to be here. Okay, that means you are giving that responsibility to an outside force, which is true because divinity is everywhere. The other way to think about it is, I am divine, I am here. Okay, so that is the monkey. Monkey completely holds on to the mother and never lets it go. Whether the mother may be jumping from one branch to the other, but the baby monkey will be always holding on to it. So that is the other way to think about it. There are two ways to think about it. Both are correct.
Yeah. Very nice point, Sai.
So I want to add to Venkatesh what he was talking about, the parenting part. So take personal responsibility of our actions. I just thought of that story which that Angulimal and Gautam Buddha. So he used to be a dacoit, used to not only take away the wealth of people passing through that path, but used to cut the finger also. So
Yeah.
Gautam Buddha asked him when he met, what are you doing it for? He said for the upbringing of my family.
Yeah.
He said, go and ask them, would they be taking your karma's results?
As
He went back and asked. So the moral of the story is, we have to take responsibility of upbringing of our kids, but make sure that only dharmic money comes home. Only dharma, that money which we can earn from dharma should come home. Nothing else should come home.
no, I think the
And-
moral of that story is your karma is yours. They will enjoy the benefits of
So
that.
that's what exactly they can enjoy the benefits of that.
Yeah,
but
but-
your duty is to bring home what you can earn through dharma, not by doing adharmic stuff.
Yeah.
Of the money coming from dharma and all is so different in the perspective here today, because yesterday when Trump said like, okay, we have to have the tariff.
I'm going to
Oh, sorry.
that because that's a very hot topic. I really don't want to go into that political approach. So sorry about that. But
that's what I think, like the right money and the wrong money
yes,
doesn't mean
I am
that,
totally with you. But I really want to keep away from it because it's not going to be good for anyone's spiritual progress. So, so we can do two things. If we are done with this, we can listen to the chapter. Yes, please go ahead. Oh, that's all. That was the last thing you really wanted to say.
Okay, but I can tell you another one. Right money, wrong money. They earn money, suppose in the wrong way. In India, there are families who had, father, grandfather earned it in the wrong way. Okay. That they are wealthy, but the family, they suffer a lot. There are diseases, untimely death, and so many things happen. And they lost the land, property also eventually within a generation. So there are consequences. But the karma, you can never escape. Well, if you get it in the wrong way, you have to pay for it also. That is there. Whether we accept it or we believe in it, that is what it is happening.
That is immaterial.
That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
So if you think of karma, oh, how do they earn the money? Yes, that doesn't matter. But if they do earn it in the wrong way, there will be consequences.
For the generations to come.
Yes, generations to come. So that is one thing.
Mm.
And then the monkey and the cat, Venkat
Yeah.
ji was talking about that devotion that once, it seemed Rama asked Hanuman, what do you think of me? Right? So Hanumanji said, if at the body level, okay, I think of you as my master, I am your servant. But as a sentient being, you are whole, I am part of you. That's the Dvaita. And then at conscious level, you and I are one. So that is how we think, so me and God are one.
That exactly, I was just, that answers that question of that kala, the time. Yeah, I think you comment. So good kala, bad kala is when we are in the karma kand. And when in the bhakti yoga, it's you and me only. So I love you, I pray you. There would be no timings. There's no time to worship. There's no good call or bad call to worship him. And in Gyan yoga, you and me are the same. That's what Sumaji is trying to say.
Yeah, very nicely put. Okay, we can go ahead and listen to the chapter as much as we can, and then we'll move along, because today we have to do yes, he's here. Yeah. And then we'll do Aarti and followed by, activity. So let me just go in and let's listen to this.
Bhagavatha Vahini, Chapter 27. Enter Sage Sukha. Some ascetics who heard the story of the curse from the lips of the king were so incensed at the son of Sage Samika that they declared he must be a fake, an unworthy child, for no child born of a rishi of the stature of Samika will ever pronounce such a devastating curse for such a trivial misdemeanor. He must be an ignorant fool or a madcap, they guessed. How can the curse emanating from the tongue of such a one take effect? They asked. The king cannot come to harm as a consequence of this curse, they affirmed. They tried to convince the king that he need have no fear on that account. Many who felt similarly argued that the king had no reason to take the curse seriously, but the king was unmoved. He replied to them with folded hands. You are thinking and speaking on these lines prompted by sympathy and kindness towards me, but I know that the wrong I have committed is not right and inconsiderable. Is there a more terrible sin than casting insult on those deserving reverence? Besides, I am the king responsible for their welfare and the maintenance of their honor. How can my act be dismissed as light and inconsiderable? Moreover, if you only consider it deeply, the curse pronounced by the boy is no curse at all. It is, on the other hand, a great boon. For I had fallen into the well of sin called empire. I had deluded myself into the belief that pleasure is the be-all and end-all of life. I was leading the life of a mere beast. I had forgotten God and my duties towards Him. God Himself has, by this means and through this instrument, directed me along the correct path. God has blessed me. This is a boon, not a punishment for past wrongs, as you imagine. When the king spoke thus, tears of joy and thankfulness flowed his eyes. He was visibly moved by extreme sincerity and devotion. He was uttering what he felt in calm, unruffled contentment. The ascetics and the subjects around him were amazed at his equanimity. They knew his declaration was true. The aged ascetic rose, and standing before the wailing populace, he addressed the gathering thus: O best of kings, your words are rays of sunlight to the hearts of the ascetics. They are so appropriate to your lineage and upbringing, for you are a Pandava born. The Pandavas never, even once, slipped into wrong or sin. They held fast always to the feet of Hari, the Lord. They stuck to the commands of the Lord, unwavering. When the Lord returned to his abode, they gave up the kingdom as a result of spontaneous renunciation. They left for the northern regions. You too are today following this holy path, since you belong to this great clan which has inherited this way of life. At this, the king prayed to them with palms folded in adoration. O best among ascetics, I have just one doubt. Please remove it from my mind. Make my days worthwhile. Tell me, O king, what is it? Responded the ascetic. The king asked that he be informed what the man for whom death is imminent can best do. At this, one sage rose and said that so far as time permitted, one could perform yajnas or yagas, or one could engage himself in japa or tapa, acts of charity or pilgrimages, or fasts or ritual worship. Another declared that liberation can be acquired only through the acquisition of jnana. Jnana devatu kaivalyam. A third spoke of supreme importance of holy acts prescribed in the Vedas and Shastras. Karmanye vahi samsiddhi. Some others argued that cultivating devotion to God is the best method of using the weak. Bhaktir vasaha purushaha. The Lord is won over by devotion only. In this confusion of conflicting opinions, the king sought the true path, and the ascetics were silenced by the persistence of the king to get a real answer to the problem he had posed. Meanwhile, a youthful ascetic with an extraordinary bright face and a personality of attractive splendor moved through the gathering of aged sages like a fast stream of light, and reaching the presence of the king, he seated himself on a height. The onlookers were amazed at this sudden appearance. Some among them were stricken with curiosity about his antecedents. To all outward appearance, he was a Munikumara, that is to say, the son of an ascetic. But his stance, his pose and poise, his personality, all affirmed that he was a master. In years he was quite tender, yet there was a divine halo bathing him. Very soon, one wise old age identified him and approached him reverentially with folded palms. Blessed indeed are all of us. This ray of divine effulgence is no other than Sri Sukha, the precious offspring of sage Vyasa. Introducing the stranger thus to the gathering, the sage continued, From the moment of birth, this person is free from all attachment. He is the master of all knowledge. The king who heard this shed tears of gratitude and joy. He rose like a kite in the air, so light and full of joy, and fell prostrate at his feet. His palms were folded in prayer when he stood up. He was straight and silent as a pillar. He was immersed in bliss. He visualized the youth before him as Krishna himself. The splendor of Sukha was too brilliant for his eyes. His charm appeared to the king equal to the god of love. The black curly rings of hair moved like black serpent hoods hovering over the white oval face. As stars amidst the dark clouds, his eyes shed cool luster and shone extraordinarily bright. A smile showered drops of joy from his lips. The king neared Sukha with slow steps. His voice was broken and indistinct. His throat was quivering with emotion. He said, "Master, I have no strength to describe the depth of your grace. Every act of yours is aimed at the welfare of the world. It is indeed my fortune that I had your darshan today so easily, for I know that it can be won only by protracted and persistent effort. Oh, how fortunate I am! I must ascribe it to the merit earned by my grandparents." The king was overcome with grateful joy at the presence of Sukha. He stood with tears of joy streaming from his eyes. With a smile hovering on his lips, Sukha directed the king to sit by his side. He said, "O king, you are no doubt straight and steadfast in moral conduct. You are ever intent on the service of the good and the godly. Your meritorious life has drawn these large gatherings of sages around you this day, or else these ascetics who are concerned with spiritual discipline would not have left their schedules to come here and pray that you may attain the realization of the highest. This is no act of charity. You have earned this gift by many lives spent virtuously and well." The king was gazing with devoted admiration at the face of Sukha while he was speaking to him. Suddenly, he raised his head and addressed the young sage thus, "Lord, I have a doubt pestering me. Remove it and give peace to my heart. I was laying it before this assembly when you came. You can, I know, solve that doubt in a trice. It must be a child's play for you." Sukha interrupted him and said, "Parikshit, the reason I came to you is to solve this doubt that is pestering you. You can ask me what you have in mind. I shall resolve your doubt and grant you satisfaction." When the great Sukha uttered these words, the sages who had gathered there exclaimed, "What great fortune! Blessed indeed!" and clapped their hands in joy so loud that the acclamation reached the sky. The king spoke humbly with evident anxiety. "Lord, what should a person facing death, who is aware of the oncoming of the end, engage himself in? What should his mind dwell upon? At succumbing to death, he should not be born again. So when that is his prayer, how should he spend the days at his disposal? This is the problem that is bothering me at present. What is my highest duty?" The king pleaded again and again for guidance. Sukha answered, "King, withdraw your mind from worldly thoughts and fix it on Hari, the Lord who charms all hearts. I shall instruct you in the wisdom of the divine, the Bhagavatha Tattva. Listen to it with all your heart, O king. There is no activity holier than that. There can be no greater spiritual exercise or discipline or vow. The human body is a worthy bird. The story of Hari is the rudder. This world of change, this constant flow, this samsara is the sea. Hari is the boatsman, and today this sacred equipment is available for you. The problem you have raised is not concerned with just one individual. The whole world is concerned with it and its solution. It is the most vital of all problems that deserves inquiry. The Atma principle is the panacea for all beings. That is the ultimate truth. No one can escape it. To establish oneself in that faith during the final days is the duty of living beings. It is on this basis that status in the next birth is determined. So, the question that you asked, the doubt that you raised, are matters of great moment for the welfare of the whole world. The answer is not for you alone. Listen.
All right, that is the end of the chapter. We will discuss it next week. Let us end today's session with Om and Three Shantis and then follow it up with Aarti today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram, thank you all for participating today.